Today we are discussing about that Ellingham diagram, very important topic present in that metallurgy. The purpose of this Ellingham diagram is we have to find thermal feasibility of reduction of the metallic oxide. Okay, and we can find the best suitable reducing agent at a given temperature in order to reduction of the metallic oxide. Actually, these Ellingham diagrams are nothing but these are the graphical representation of the standard Gibbs free energy versus temperature. Okay, this standard Gibbs free energy we are calculating for the oxidation of metals. We are calculating for the oxidation of the metals. Okay, see that. So this is metal which is solid. When it is reacting with oxygen, we are getting that metallic oxide, okay, which is also solid. This is what we are saying that oxidation of the metal. So during the oxidation of metals, we are calculating that standard Gibbs free energy. Generally, this standard Gibbs free energy we are calculating by using that thermodynamical concept that is called Gibbs free energy. Delta G is equal to delta G naught plus RT ln K. Okay, see that if you observe that during the oxidation of metal we are calculating the partial pressure of oxygen. Okay, what we are calculating that? We are calculating the partial pressure of oxygen. See that for this reaction I am calculating that equilibrium constant K is equal to, which is a solid and which is also solid. Okay, the only term it is in the gaseous state is that is oxygen. So product concentration by reactant concentration, then here I am getting that partial pressure of oxygen. This is what we are saying that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. What we are saying that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. So by using that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen, we are calculating the standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metal. So let us see how we have to calculate that standard Gibbs free energy for this oxidation of the metal. Okay, see that first of all we have to calculate the equilibrium partial pressure for the oxidation of metal. Why? Because in the Ellingham diagram every reaction pre-assumed to be an equilibrium reaction. Every reaction pre-assumed to be an equilibrium reaction. So that is the reason why every reaction what should we consider that it is a reversible reaction. So basing on that concept we have to find that equilibrium partial pressure of the oxygen. See that how we have to find this equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. See, once what we have to do means we have to draw one line from delta G naught value is equal to 0. Okay, now so we are drawing that line as like this. So initially that value having the 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, what we have to take that the partial pressure of oxygen for the 1 mole of ideal gas, what we have to take that at 1 atmosphere. Okay, see that actually if you see that if you draw that so many lines from delta G naught is equal to 0. This is what we are saying, that nominal graphical line. At this point temperature it will be taken as 0, and that standard Gibbs free energy value also taken as 0. Basing on this point what we have to do means we are drawing that so many different lines. Okay, see that here I am drawing that different lines from this direction to this direction. Here I am writing that partial pressure of the oxygen for the oxidation of metals. Okay, so here this is the partial pressure of oxygen, and also some values also here I am writing, and these what we are saying, the temperatures in terms of Kelvin. Okay, for suppose I want to find this partial pressure, equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen for the some other oxidation of metal, that will be taken as, okay, so this is called some unknown metal oxidation curve. Some unknown metal oxidation curve here. It will be metal is changing into metallic oxide. See that if you want to find that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen at 600 Kelvin, see that here these values corresponding to temperature, and these values corresponding to partial pressure of oxygen. So now I am finding that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen at 600 Kelvin. What should I do? Means just 600 Kelvin here. For example, better to take that at 400 Kelvin. Better to take that 400 Kelvin. For understanding purpose, here I am taking that. So at 400 Kelvin, what is the equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen? That will be 10 to the power of minus 10 atmospheres. Okay, how we have to take means if these lines are intersect at this point, okay, these lines intersect this oxidation of metal curve at this point. Now this intersects point we have to, from this intersection point we have to identify the temperature. So 400 Kelvin will be there. So from this point we are calculating the oxygen partial pressure here, 10 to the power of minus 10 atmosphere. Okay, just like that we have to calculate at various temperatures partial pressure of the oxygen. That what we are saying, that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. Just like for any temperature we can calculate that this equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. For suppose I want to calculate that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen, equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen at 250 Kelvin. So this curve which is passing through delta G naught is equal to 0. So this line, okay, so it will be touches here. Now here this is the intersection point. If you, so this will be 250 Kelvin. Okay, so this is at 400 Kelvin. Partial pressure will be 10 to the power of minus 10 atmosphere. So partial pressure of oxygen at 250 Kelvin, what we are getting here, around 10 to the power of minus 31 atmospheres at 250 Kelvin. So just like that we have to find that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen at various temperature. So after finding that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen, now we have to calculate the standard Gibbs free energy. Actually the standard Gibbs free energy we are taking that see that the difference in Gibbs free energy, the difference in Gibbs free energy for 1 mole of ideal gas, for 1 mole of ideal gas at 1 atmospheric pressure and Gibbs free energy for 1 mole of ideal gas, okay, at equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen, equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. Okay, so we have to find that standard Gibbs free energy. We have to find standard Gibbs free energy for that oxidation of metal basing on this formula. What is that formula? Delta G naught is equal to RT ln partial pressure of oxygen at 1 atmospheric by partial pressure of oxygen at equilibrium. This is what we are saying, that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. What we are saying, that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. So I already said that how to find that equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen for the oxidation of metal. Okay, so basing on that we have to calculate that standard Gibbs free energy at different temperatures, so that value we have to take on y-axis, and the temperatures we have to take on that x-axis. Then we are observing these type of curves for the various metallic oxides and also non-metallic oxides. Okay, so just like that we have to find that delta G naught value at various temperatures by using the equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. Okay, if you want to calculate that, how we have to get this formula? By using this. How we have to get this formula? By using this. Okay, see that. So delta G at equilibrium will be taken as 0. This delta G term will be taken as 0. So here 0. So delta G naught plus RT. So K means what we are writing, that 1 by partial pressure of oxygen. So here ln will be there, ln will be there. So if you are rearranging, means we are getting that delta G naught minus RT ln partial pressure of oxygen. So that means if you are getting this formula as delta G naught is equal to RT ln partial pressure of oxygen. Okay, then we have to take the difference for the 1 mole of ideal gas at 1 atmospheric. We are finding the standard Gibbs free energy for the 1 mole of ideal gas at 1 atmospheric pressure, and also we are calculating that standard Gibbs free energy for the 1 mole of ideal gas at equilibrium partial pressure. Okay, what we are doing, that we are calculating that standard Gibbs free energy for the 1 mole of ideal gas at 1 atmospheric pressure. 1 atmospheric pressure. Okay, so RT ln partial pressure of oxygen at 1 atm. And another term, So we are finding the standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metal for 1 mole of ideal gas at equilibrium partial pressure of oxygen. That we have to find just like that. So if we are taking the difference between these two, then we are getting that this value. So just like we have to calculate that standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metals. Okay students, so okay students, that next one is, see that these graphicals curves of the Ellingham diagrams which relates that formula delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. These graphical curves of that various metallic oxides, okay, for the oxidation of metals or non-metals, whatever it may be, they are related with this formula delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. So here delta G naught means standard Gibbs free energy, delta H naught means change in enthalpy under standard conditions. So delta S naught means standard entropy change. Okay, if you see that oxidation of metal, here I am only concentrating on that oxidation of metals. Why? Because we are mainly focused for getting metal from the metallic oxides in the metallurgy. Okay, we are not dealing about that non-metallic oxides here. Of course we are using that, but the main focus is oxidation of the metals and their reductions. Okay, see that if you observe this oxidation of metal, here change in entropy value will be negative for this entire oxidation of that metal. What we are taking that here, change in entropy will be taken as negative. Why? Because in the product side will be solid is there, in the reactant side one solid is there. Okay, so if you are calculating that delta, and here what we are getting that negative value. Why? Because this will be solid, we are not considering, and in this side this also solid, we are not considering that, and this will be gas, so that we have to take that. So finally we are getting that change in number of moles for this oxidation of metal will be negative. So that is the reason why here less randomness will be there, sorry, this side more randomness will be there. After the oxidation of metal we are getting that less randomness will be there. That is the reason why change in entropy, what we are getting that negative. And if you are observing the change in enthalpy for the oxidation of metal, for most of the oxidation of metal are exothermic in nature. Okay, so for the exothermic reactions, what we are getting that standard change in enthalpy will be negative. Standard change in enthalpy will be negative. Okay, for the oxidation of metal, change in entropy standard value is taken as negative, and change in standard enthalpy will be negative. Okay, we know that whenever that reaction or whenever that process delta G naught is equal to 0, what we are saying that will be equilibrium. That will be equilibrium. If delta G naught will be negative, means what we are getting that reaction will be spontaneous. And if that delta G naught is equal to positive, means what we are getting that will be non-spontaneous. That information we learned in that first year thermodynamics topic. If you see that these curves which relates with this formula, these Ellingham diagrams curve relates with this formula. Okay, so if you observe that, so here I am writing this formula as delta G naught is equal to delta H naught. For my convenience I am rearranging that. So plus into T minus of delta S naught. It is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, it is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. So on the y-axis we are writing that standard Gibbs free energy. Okay, on the x-axis we are taking the temperature value. So here slopes indicates these, what we are saying that slopes indicates the change in entropy value, and that intercepts points indicate that change in enthalpy values. Okay, if you observe that most of the slopes we are getting that positive, but if you see that what we are saying that change in entropy value will be negative. So why? Because why we are getting this type of positive slopes instead of that negative slopes? Already here minus will be there, this is minus. So change in entropy value will be taken as minus into minus, what we are getting that positive. So that is the reason why slopes we are getting that positive values here. Remember that point. And another important term will be that temperature. This temperature decides that whether that oxidation of metal will be spontaneous or non-spontaneous. Basing on these two terms, change in enthalpy and change in entropy, by using these two terms value, we are calculating that standard Gibbs free energy at various temperatures. Okay, see that how we have to find that standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metal at various temperature. So here temperature will be very important factor. See that. So temperature. So for my convenience, this temperature I am writing as high temperature, and this side I am writing that low temperature. So what my intention is, I want to calculate that standard Gibbs free energy at high temperature as well as at low temperature. So what is our formula? Delta G naught is equal to delta H minus T delta S naught. Okay, what is our formula? Delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. So I am arranging as like this. So delta H plus T into minus of delta S naught. So we are already discussed that change in enthalpy will be negative. So temperature into, and change in entropy also, what we are getting here, negative into negative, what we are getting that positive. Whenever that temperature is increases, what we are getting that this term will be more. Okay, when we are increasing the temperature, this T delta term will be more positive. when compared to this negative enthalpy value. That is the reason why what we are getting that positive delta G naught, what we are getting that positive. Now if you are coming to this part here, delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. Okay, so delta H naught minus so T into minus of delta S naught. Okay. So if you are coming to that low temperature, delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. So delta H naught plus T into minus of delta S naught. I am rearranging that. Here what we are getting that this will be positive and this delta H naught will be negative and this term will be positive. Okay, so delta S minus, so minus into minus positive here. Now at low temperature what we are getting means this T positive value, what we are getting that very low when compared to this negative change in enthalpy, and finally we are getting that negative for the overall reaction. Okay, so this term will be less and this term will be more, and ultimately we are getting that delta G naught negative, and here this term will be high and this term will be low, and ultimately we are getting that delta G naught will be positive. So that is the reason why if you are observing that slopes at low temperature, this slopes towards more delta G naught, that is high delta, more negative side. At low temperature slopes are towards at delta G naught more negative side. When our temperature is increasing, what we are getting that these slopes are shift towards that less delta G naught negative side. Okay, see that at 200 Kelvin it will be more delta G naught negative value. If you are comparing at 600 Kelvin, this is having so less delta G naught negative value. So in this case we are observing that non-spontaneous reactions, and this is what we are saying that delta G naught negative means what we are saying that this will be spontaneous reactions. Okay, so here temperature will be very important for the calculation of standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metal, Okay, so please note it down. Temperature increases, whenever the temperature increases, these slopes cross delta G naught 0 value. Okay, so whenever the temperature is increases, finally these slopes cross at a fine temperature delta G naught is equal to 0 line. Okay, so if you are increasing the temperature, if temperature increases, slopes cross delta G is equal to 0 line. So delta G naught is equal to 0 line means that slopes are in which direction? That positive side. Okay, slopes are in which direction? That is positive side. Delta G naught is equal to positive side. So delta G naught is equal to positive side means what we are understanding, that oxidation of metal will be non-spontaneous. That oxidation of metal will be non-spontaneous. Okay, so below delta G is equal to 0 line, that oxidation of metal will be spontaneous. Okay, see that at above delta G naught is equal to 0 line, and here this side I am writing at below delta G naught is equal to 0 line. So what is the difference at these two conditions? What is the difference at these two conditions? See that above delta G naught is equal to 0 means what we are understanding, that oxidation of metal is non-spontaneous. What we are saying, that non-spontaneous. See that, and there is no special reducing agent is required for this type of oxides. Okay, so they are thermally unstable. Just at sufficient temperature, these oxides splits as metal and oxygen. These oxides splits as metal and oxygen. This is what we are saying, that pyrometallurgy. Why? Because this is oxide is less stable. This oxide is less stable. That is the reason why there is no special reducing agent is required. Okay, for example, if you see that mercuric oxide at 250 degrees Celsius, it will be splits as mercury plus oxygen. There is no reducing agent is required. Why? Because this metallic oxide will be less stable. How can you say that? Okay, here I am writing like this for my convenience here. Okay, for understanding purpose, here I am taking that at low temperature, so this cross delta G naught positive side. That is the reason why, though there is no special reducing agent is required. Okay, so the oxidation of metal is non-spontaneous, no special reducing agent is required, and these oxide is unstable, so at sufficient temperature it splits as metal and oxygen. Now coming to this part, so oxidation of metal in this case spontaneous. Why? Because delta G naught below 0 means delta G naught will be negative. Here delta G naught 0 above means delta G naught will be positive. That is the reason here non-spontaneous, here spontaneous. So that formed metallic oxide is more stable. Okay, so we have to use special reducing agent. This is what we are saying, that reducing agent, then only that reduction will be happen. Okay, so just like that, here temperature will be very important to decide that suitable reducing agent for the reduction of the metal. Okay, for the reduction of the metal. So now coming to another point, see that if you observe that this curve will be oxidation of metal, and this curve will be oxidation of aluminum, and this curve will be oxidation of zinc. Okay, and this curve will be oxidation of the mercury. So if you see that the standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of magnesium will be more delta G negative. So here magnesium will be more reactive metal when compared to aluminum. Why? Because its standard Gibbs free energy value somewhat less negative than magnesium. So after that, here zinc, its standard Gibbs free energy for the oxidation of metal will be less negative than aluminum and magnesium. Okay, So if we are comparing to that, this mercuric curve, mercuric oxide. Okay, so just like that, these Ellingham diagrams are useful to calculate that reactivity of metals also, reactivity of the metals also. Okay, so now if you are coming to that very important point, that is the oxide corresponding to metallic, that is what we are saying, that the upper curve corresponding to the metallic oxide can be reduced by lower curve of that element. What we discussed that? Upper curve corresponds to metallic oxide can be reduced by element belongs to lower curve. Okay, so what is its meaning? That means see that this is what we are saying, that aluminum oxide curve. This is what we are saying, that this is magnesium oxide curve. So according to this Ellingham diagram, so here this aluminum oxide curve is in that upper side, and that this magnesium oxide curve in that lower side. So this aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium. From this point, what we are understand, that aluminum oxide can be reduced by magnesium as aluminum and magnesium oxide. See that if you see that this curve, zinc oxide curve will be above than this aluminum and that this magnesium oxide curve. Okay, so from this what we are understanding, that this zinc oxide can be reduced by aluminum as well as magnesium. Okay, similarly zinc oxide can be reduced by magnesium as zinc and magnesium oxide, and this zinc oxide can be reduced by aluminum as zinc and aluminum oxide. Here I am not balancing that. Okay, just I am explaining this point. Okay, see that similarly this carbon dioxide can be reduced by zinc. Why? Because it is above and this zinc oxide curve will be below. Kabatti, so zinc metal can reduce that carbon dioxide. So the upper curve correspond to metallic oxide can be reduced by element belongs to that lower curve. This point will be very, very important. So in the objective point of view, so this point gives that more marks. Okay, so if you understand this point, we can easily calculate that standard Gibbs free energy as well as reducing agent for the oxidation of metal. Okay, so now we are finding that oxidation of that is standard Gibbs free energy value during the coupling of that two reactions. So we are assigning that reducing agent, and also we can calculate that standard Gibbs free energy. Okay, so now how to find that standard Gibbs free energy during the combination of the two reactions, and how we can interpreting that reducing agent. Okay, so note it down. If you see that these slopes are gradually increasing, but at one point we are observing that sudden change. Okay, these curves gradually increasing, at one point we are observing that sudden change. See that magnesium oxide curve, so up to here it will be like this, but at that point what we are getting, that sudden change. Okay, see that zinc oxide curve, this will be magnesium oxide curve, and if you are observing that zinc oxide curve, it will be also like that. Okay, this will be zinc oxide curve. So what we are understanding from this point, is that during the oxidation of metal, whenever the temperature increasing, that entropy change, what we are getting, that gradually increase. But at this point what we are observing, that sudden change we are observing at high temperature. So this point we are saying that melting point temperature. So at this point what we are understanding, that phase transfer takes place from solid to liquid. Okay, metallic oxide will be solid state, and that metallic oxide will be converted into that liquid state. So here entropy, what happens, more entropy for this liquid metallic oxide when compared to solid metallic oxide. That is the reason why we are observing this kind of steep curves. Okay, so that is the reason why we are observing this kind of sudden changes. And one more thing, if you see that for unknown graph, we are observing like that. This point indicates that melting point, and this point indicates that boiling point. Okay, so this is corresponding temperature T1, this corresponding temperature T2. So at T1 entropy, whatever we are getting, that low. Why? Because it will be liquid in state. But at the temperature T2, what we are getting, that so entropy will be more. Why? Because it is boiling state, it will be in that vapor state. So that is the reason why we are getting that steep curves in that Ellingham diagrams. Okay, and very important thing, that is if you observe these curves, three important graphical representations are there. That three important graphical representation we have to discuss now. Okay, so note it down these points. Okay, after that we can discuss that. Okay, so coming to this point, if you see that in the Ellingham diagram, these curves are special. Now we are discussing that. Okay, so here delta G naught value, here temperature. First of all we are discussing about this curve. So here what we are getting, that C plus O2 gives rise to CO2, which is a gas, which is a solid. So what we are getting, that so delta N will be 0. Why? Because this side 1 mole is there, this side 1 mole is there. So So delta n means product moles minus reactant moles, that will be, so 1 minus 1, what we are getting, that 0 here, 0. So delta n 0 means change in entropy value will be 0. Change in entropy value will be 0 even at low temperature, so even at high temperature this standard Gibbs free energy value not changes, standard Gibbs free energy value not changes. Okay, it is not increasing, it is not decreasing. So delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. So this value will not be changed, this value will not be changed. So why? Because change in entropy value, what we are getting, that 0, there is no change, this term will be taken as 0, means what we are getting, that delta G naught is equal to delta H naught. That is the reason why we are getting that this horizontal, it is not increasing and it is not decreasing. Standard Gibbs free energy, there is no change here. Why? Because there is no change in entropy. So if you are coming to this curve, okay, so 2CO plus O2 gas gives rise to 2CO2 gas. So if you are calculating that delta n means number of moles of products minus number of moles of reactants. So product side 2 moles are there, reactant side what we are getting, that 3 moles are there. So delta n will be negative. So delta S also, what we are getting, that negative. So if you are applying the temperature, delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T delta S naught. So delta H naught plus T into minus of delta S naught. So if you observe that these curves at low temperature, standard Gibbs free energy will be negative side. Whenever the temperature is increasing, standard Gibbs free energy, what we are getting, that it will be goes to the positive direction side. So at low temperature it will be in that more delta G naught negative side. Whenever the temperature is increasing, it will be less delta G naught negative side, Why? Because change in entropy value will be negative. So minus into minus, what we are getting, that positive term. So when temperature is increasing, initially it will be negative, so T into, it will be negative, minus into minus positive. So at low temperature this term will be more, at high temperature this term will be more. So that is the reason why at low temperature it will mean that more delta G naught negative side, for example minus 650 kilojoules per mole. So if you are comparing at high temperature, it will be around minus 200 kilojoules per mole. Okay, so now coming to that another graph, C gives rise to CO. So 2C, which is a solid, plus O2 gas gives rise to 2CO gas. So comparing the delta n value here, product moles minus reactant moles. Okay, so product moles here 2, reactant moles here 1, delta n will be 1. So that means change in entropy value will be positive here. Change in entropy, what we are getting, that positive value. So if we are comparing this formula, delta G naught is equal to delta H naught minus T into minus of delta S naught. So delta H naught value will be negative, okay. Okay, delta H naught value will be negative here. Delta H naught value will be negative, and delta it will be positive. Minus into positive, what we are getting that, so minus. So if you observe that whenever the temperature is increasing, this term will be more. That is the reason why if you are increasing the temperature, it will be more delta G naught negative side. At low temperature it will be less delta G naught negative side. Okay, what we understand that at low temperature standard Gibbs free energy value less negative. Whenever the temperature is increasing, so standard Gibbs free energy term will be more negative. Okay, so why? Because here temperature will increase, this term will be more when compared to this. So overall what we are getting that more negative. So just like that we can explain these two curves. See that the main drawbacks of this Ellingham diagram. The first drawback is these curves are assumed to be drawbacks of Ellingham diagram. These curves are assumed to be equilibrium reactions. That is the major drawback. Okay, so all reactions are not reversible reactions, but in the Ellingham diagram concept, each reaction to be assumed to be equilibrium reaction. That is the first drawback. Second drawback, it is a thermodynamical concept only. That means it tells about that reaction is feasible or not. It not tells about that conditions. Okay, and also that it not tells about that how much time it will takes. Okay, how that reaction will be happen. All these things are not discussed in this concept. Only simple that reaction is possible or not. That point only we have to discuss. So similarly, if you are observing that, for example, if you take that iron can form the two types of oxides during the oxidation. What is that? Iron oxide and ferric oxide. So this type of oxides not explained by this Ellingham diagram. The oxidation of this type of reactions are not explained by Ellingham diagram. Okay, for an element gives more than one oxide, this Ellingham diagram not discussed that. Okay, these are the important drawbacks present in that Ellingham diagram. Okay, thank you. So in the next class we are discussing about that applications of Ellingham diagram.